Hey everyone, so I wanted to, in this video, introduce you guys to a bunch of products that I've been loving and wearing and haven't talked about yet. A few of these are newer launches and a lot of these are like kind of hidden gems. I have realized recently that a big driver of my content on my channel is trying to find hidden gems, which is, doesn't always go well. It doesn't, because like there will be a product with absolutely no reviews and then I feel like I'm kind of going in blind and it just doesn't always pay off, and there's like a reason that no one is talking about it. But at the end of the day, I just think it's so satisfying, like rewarding for me to find those hidden gems and share them with you guys. So a few of those I think are in that category, but some of these are just like general new releases. Before we jump in, two things. I don't know what is going on with my hair. We're gonna ignore that. And also that is the product of a sports bra. So I recently did a short on this product from Lorac. Been getting into Lorac. Obviously Lorac is not a new brand. I recently did a video on one of their smaller palettes, like a dedicated video, because I think that that palette is an absolutely beautiful, affordable find. But anyway, this is the Dewy Canvas Prep from Lorac. I specifically wanted to pick this up to see if it would be kind of an alternative to my Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. You guys know how much I absolutely love that product. This admittedly is a different product. It definitely has a different texture to it. It is way more of kind of a gel cream consistency, but something that I really love about it is the way it glides onto the skin. It offers this really lovely hydrated look, but then it kind of sits down and develops a little bit of a tack that helps my makeup kind of stick to it. It's also really nice for very dehydrated skin. So, I do think the Bobbi Brown is great for a little bit of moisture. It has shea butter in it. It also has a blend of silicones to really like smooth out the skin. As an all-in-one, I think that the Bobbi Brown like reigns supreme. However, if you're dealing with specifically dehydration and you find that your typical tacky primer leaves your skin feeling uncomfortable because your skin is so dehydrated, this to me is like an upgraded version of, like an e.l.f. Power Grip, the drops from Glow Recipe that I can't think of, Watermelon Dew Drops. This to me is like a slightly more hydrating version of that still will give you a little bit of a tack. I really like the finish as well. It's not too greasy. It just is like a really nice dewy finish. I think it's a really beautiful product. Again, it feels nice and hydrating and plumping, but it's not like a greasy, slip slidey kind of base product. I just think that, for example, the people that use like Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream, I don't know if you're one of those people. Please check this out instead, because I think that it's a superior priming product. It's absolutely beautiful, very luxurious as well. Beautiful frosted glass, so it's even like more luxurious feeling than the Bobbi Brown is. So this next product is not a new product, but I recently saw Kathleen Lights talk about this, so I decided to pick it up and it's so good. This is the Beauty Blender Bounce Skin Tint. I don't know if I would necessarily classify this as a skin tint. It is a very watery, kind of serum-like foundation. However, it definitely gives you decent, significant coverage. I'm wearing it today. Something I absolutely love about it is how perfecting and smoothing it is on my skin. It covers pretty much everything I needed to cover, at least 90% of what I need to cover, really easily, blends and kind of smooths out the look of my skin. And it is one of those products that I just feel pretty like flawless in. In general, I just find my skin really enjoys it. I've been wearing it out a lot and have just noticed throughout the night, my skin just still looks good. And I've just been feeling a little bit more confident, when I'm wearing this. So for me, I'm like, you know, that is something that we could all use a little bit more confidence, especially in the winter when my skin is like not living its best life. I just feel like this is really nice. By the way, I have the shade Light 3. Undertone is great, slightly too dark on me, but I think I also don't mind that when I'm a little bit sallow in the winter, so don't mind that about it. Beautiful, velvety, natural finish. Definitely not like a very dewy product. So I just find that the finish is very perfecting and pretty. This is good. This is good stuff. I mean, Kathleen really rarely leads me astray, but it is freaking beautiful. And by the way, you can use this with a sponge. Obviously, like, Beauty Blender is like, use this with a beauty blender. I actually find it applies really love, what am I saying? I think that using a brush applies it really prettily. This one from It Cosmetics, the dual-ended brush, I mean, I feel like I always end up going back to this brush after so many months of like not using it. It's just beautiful. If you've been like looking at this for a long time, it's been kind of sitting in like the saved section of your cart on Ulta or Sephora. Just know that I think that it is a very beautiful brush, and it definitely will last you. I've had this for so long. And it just consistently applies blush, bronzer, foundation, like the size of it, the density, it's fluffy but not too fluffy, so soft. I mean, it ends up being a really good all over complexion brush. So yeah, sidebar on that brush, because I have talked about that one before. Okay, another product that I have not talked about before is this palette, also from Lorac. I recently picked it up. I'm wearing it on my eyes today, and I'm telling you, it didn't take long for me to pretty much exclusively go to this palette for almost every single eye look that I've been wearing. So this is the Lorac Noir palette. It is, I mean, you can even see how already like well loved it is. Even like I've already made a dent in the mattes. Part of that is that the Lorac like matte formula is a touch powdery, like there's definitely a kickback to it. And I will say, because I've been really getting to know like the Natasha Denona matte formula, like I notice that this is not as beautiful as like that matte formula, but I am still reaching for this over like my Glam palette, which was pretty much consistently my most used palette of last year. The reason being, the mattes are still very good. They're definitely, again, a little bit more powdery, but they have pigment and they still blend really beautifully. I like these brown shades are not too overly warm, but the shimmers in here, the shimmers are absolutely stunning, and they are beautiful if you are someone that loves that wet, glossy looking eye. So I have two of them. I like to layer them up to add more dimension and more colors. This shade over here, I mean, this to me reminds me of a lot of the wet looking shimmers that I talk about all the time on my channel. This is another favorite of mine. I mean, look at these. They're essentially, you know, like a pressed glitter with a very light base pigment to them. They're reminiscent of like Natasha Denona Chroma Crystal top coats, the one from Jaclyn Hill. I forget, like those shimmery top coats. But this is obviously a drier formula. It's not, doesn't have that like wet feeling in the finger, but it's a very similar vibe. Super, super sheer base pigment, very, very thin pressed glitter that goes over the eyes in a really wet, glossy looking way because they're so thin. You guys, yes, these are so beautiful because you also have some of these gorgeous metallic shades. So here's one of the metallic shades up here. Beautiful, but you can add the glitters on top and then you're really creating this freaking beautiful look. I mean, I feel like I'm kind of even rambling right now just because there's like so many things I love about this palette all kind of flowing out of my mouth at once. But honestly, you guys, it's just they're just freaking beautiful. This very light white shade is even like very perfect for someone that likes that Diamond Bomb or like the Makeup by Mario Crystal Quartz reflector. Like even just in here, you have a little bit of that you can add to the middle of the lid just for that extra spark. And then there's this shade over here, which admittedly I haven't used a ton of because it's a little bit more smoky, but look at this. That is freaking beautiful. That beautiful dark brown purpley gorgeousness. It's like definitely not overly warm, which I love personally, just that's what I like. I've been using all of these mattes to pretty much do like a very soft, well, today's wing isn't like super soft, but I'm typically doing a little bit of a softer wing with these mattes, doing the glossy lid metallic look. And I've been getting consistent compliments on my makeup. And even before I like get out the door, I'm just feeling like, I just really like the looks. If you missed out on like the Makeup by Mario Ethereal palette, obviously this is a different color story than that. I would much rather reach for this consistently. I wasn't a huge fan of that palette. I just found like the mattes were a little bit too chalky for me. This gives me the depth, the richness, the dimension, the wet glossy shimmers with the mix of metallics. This is all of it. With so many makeup products like constantly coming out back to back to back, it's so nice to be able to discover a palette that I think really has a very current aesthetic to it. And for me, something I could see myself wearing pretty much all year. So this was one of my favorite makeup pickups that I had in the last few weeks. And I'm in love with it. And by the way, they last really well on the eyes too, which is obviously awesome. Now, this is the only makeup product that I have that I don't have a demo for, which is kind of a bummer. I promise to hit you guys back with one of those soon, but this is the Mega Creams 4-in-1 palette from Undone Beauty. This is the Neapolitan one. This is a newer release that I recently hauled in like a new drugstore makeup video. This is beautiful. I mean, I already knew I loved the Undone Beauty cream blushes, but this is just such a great all-in-one blush palette. I have actually been using this shade in the middle, this kind of like chocolatey shade. You can see it still has a bit of pink to it. I've actually been using this as like a blush bronzer kind of thing. You can see, hopefully you can kind of tell here, this formula is not like overly thick. It's actually quite thin once it's blended out on the skin. They last really well, and they just kind of have this jelly stain kind of look once they're on the skin, which I personally really like. At least these two shades have that. I think that the ones with shimmer, I find that these have like a touch more base pigment to them. They're still relatively thin. This shade down here, it has like a very soft kind of gold shimmer, very like NARS Orgasm kind of shade. Really gonna look good on a lot of people, just that, you know, peachy pink. But I really like these two shades down here, putting them all over on the cheeks, like kind of a draped blush look. And then adding this highlight. I'm actually not wearing highlight today. I'll add some for you guys so you can just get a look at it. It's really, really pretty. It just adds this dewiness to the skin that feels just, I don't know, it feels really fresh. They don't set down like completely to, you know, like a velvety finish on the skin, but I think that you guys will be surprised at how thin they look on the skin. I have been a fan of the Undone Beauty blushes for a very long time. There's something really nice about having a palette like this just to add a little bit of that soft, creamy glow to the skin. It's just always going to look really fresh and pretty. Now, speaking of which, something that I've really been liking to do is I will go in with the Lorac, the Dewy Canvas Prep. Then I will go into the Bounce Skin Tint from Beauty Blender. Then I will do a little bit of that dewy cheek look with the Undone Beauty. Sometimes I'll be like, okay, this is really dewy and super fresh looking, If I want to go out at night though, and like I know there's like photos being taken, I've just had like a lot of like different not even events, obligations to attend to. Sometimes I just want something that's a little bit less dewy. I have talked about this before, so I'm cheating here, but this is, it is very mattifying, but in like the most dry skin friendly way I could describe. If you are like super, super dewy, but you need your makeup to last long, adding a bit of this is like baking your makeup without using powder. I absolutely love it. This just kind of like a sidebar that I need to like save this. I'm going to Vegas like in the next couple of weeks, and I'm like, I need to save you for that. I just need to like keep this set aside so that I don't go through it before that, because this is just like the perfect setting spray for like that heavy duty longevity. So definitely need to put this aside. Okay, so I have a few lip products that I wanted to talk about. I also have another cheek product too that I'll talk about in a second. But the lip product I'm wearing right now is from 3CE. It's their water tint. Water tint? This is the problem, is that like the names are not written down on the product with a lot of 3CE, or I mean, maybe it is, but it's just in Korean, so I can't read it. But I'll leave it linked down below. This is the shade Lay Down. You guys, this tint, I'm gonna do another layer. It's absolutely beautiful. If you are someone that does not want to feel your lip product on your lips, but you want to know it's secure, and you don't want it to be drying, like you hate that chalky feeling on your lips, or you just don't want something that feels glossy or very matte either. You just want it to be like a weightless tint. I mean, this is one of the best lip tints I've ever used in my life. It's so freaking flattering on the lips because I do think there's a little bit of silicone in here. It's kind of like a lip tint mixed with a soft silicone liquid lip. It's more on the sheer side though, so it leans more in that lip tint lane. But it's not like that weird silicone that kind of like separates on the lips and looks like crumbly or awkward. I love it. I love it so much. I also have the shade Coconut, Dark Coconut something coming in the mail. I cannot even get over how beautiful this is. And if you're someone that, again, you don't want to worry about what's happening on your lips and you don't want to really go for like a strong lip look, you just want that flush of color, really nice for like everyday, really nice for like work, this is that lip product. I like want 15 other colors. I'm sure they don't have 15, but I want every single color they have. It's one of the best, again, one of the best lip tints I've ever tried. It's freaking incredible. It's so soft. It doesn't exaggerate my lip lines. It almost like very softly softens them because it has a little bit of the silicone thing going on. And by the way, my lips are not doing great right now. I mean, what else is new? Like my lips. In the winter, it's really hard to keep up with them, guys. Not only because it's like winter time, but I wear retainers. Sometimes I like, you know, drool a lot in my sleep. Like I feel like I don't even know what I'm talking about. But if you know, you know. It's like really hard to keep your lips hydrated when you have retainers or you're like opening your mouth when you sleep and just already naturally have dry lips. Anyway, the fact that this is not like crumbling off my lips and looking really awkward, this is going to like, this is gonna blow your mind. I don't know what else to say. I'm obsessed. I love them. And I don't say that often. I don't know if you guys notice that. I don't say like I'm obsessed a lot, but I am obsessed. It's true. More lip products. This is a new one from Amikulay, which is their lip treatment oil. This is like a really, really beautiful liquid lip mixed with a gloss. It has this really enveloping, gorgeous formula. I have the shade, what is happening here? Why is this shade name not on here? Again, I will leave it down below. I apologize about that. But I heard State of Kate talking about these, I think on Instagram, and I love like a really cushiony, gorgeous, like thick lip formula. This is very similar to like the Lawless Forget the Filler lip glosses, if you guys are familiar with those. It has a very light vanilla scent. By the way, I don't think I let you guys know what this smells like. I don't really notice a smell too much with this one. It's like a very light fruity scent with this, but this will give you that huge, like juicy, every lip line kind of filled in look. So if you love a glossy lip, if you really love a liquid lip formula that has that kind of balmy plushness to it, this is a very good formula. It's not for the faint of heart. Like if you like a really, really thin lip gloss and you lean more towards that traditional lip oil that feels very thin and kind of absorbs into the lips, like this is not going to be for you. But if you love that like water droplet effect lip look that I always like to say, I always say like water droplet effect. That's just to me what I think of when I look at like a really glossy lip. This will be for you. I think it's really beautiful. There's also like a juicy kind of red shade that I want. But you guys know how I feel about a brown. And this brown, like it looks really milky warm, and it's not quite as milky warm when I have it on. Probably just because my lips are a little bit more cool toned, but I just think it's really beautiful. You do want something a little bit more on the thin side. These lip oils from Exa, they recently sent them to me. Look at the way they sent this to me. Hold on, here. It was really adorable. They sent me like, it's like a little Valentine's Day box. I was like, yes. So they sent me all of the shades, but in particular, these two shades I'm really, really into. Seeker is my favorite. It is a very sheer plum, and then this sheer cherry shade called Optimist. I don't know what it is about it. It's like, obviously the colors are gorgeous, but they, to me, feel like more of a true lip oil formula, like the Dior lip oils, for example. They're thinner than those, so I think folks that really wanted a true like lip oil texture will prefer these to the ones from Dior. They have a really pleasant fruity smell to them, and I just find that like they kind of leave behind a little bit of a stain. It's like a lip oil that dries down to like a stain kind of feeling. I don't know. I usually don't like a thinner lip product, but these don't feel drying. They don't feel super glossy or uncomfortable. Again, beautiful big doe foot applicator, gorgeous sheer application that just looks really fresh and pretty. Juicy shades. I mean, these are a great, great lip oil. They're slightly thinner than something like the In Beauty lip glazes. So if you want something, just again, a lip oil that's a touch thinner, not quite as tacky like a gloss, I think that these could be a really good option for you. I think they're very pretty. And again, I don't usually like a lip oil formula. As I mentioned, 2 lip oils, but you guys know what I mean. I don't like the classic too thin kind of sinking into the lips kind of lip oil, but these are like the closest to that formula that I've ever really liked. I just think they're really balanced. And lastly, I'm not gonna like fully commit to this recommendation yet, but I just have a feeling, I got a good feeling about this. And I did recently do an overview on some, like a buy this, not that, on some liquid blushes, which, by the way, I knew that I wasn't going to cover like my entire liquid blush collection in that video because I can't even tell you how many I've tried. But like the comments were flooded with, what about this one? What about this one? I'm realizing as I move forward with my channel that if I stayed and compared every single like blush formula that I've ever used to each other, then I would really like, it kind of is starting to overwhelm me at this point, and I want to stop being like a perfectionist in that way because I think it's holding me back from actually producing content. I hope you guys understand what I mean. Like when you have tried at least 20 liquid blushes, I don't want to have to revisit every single liquid blush I've ever tried in every video. Hopefully, like, that makes sense. It starts to, you know, for me, I'm like, oh, this would be helpful. This would be helpful. What about this, this, this? But it's actually, it ends up overwhelming me so much that I don't do the video at all, which is obviously not what anyone wants. Like, definitely not what I want, but I just notice it in myself. Like, I've had a couple of all-encompassing videos on, like, affordable, like, cream eyeshadows. I've been working on that video for, like, way too long, but it's because I always feel like I have to try this new formula. I have to compare it to 15 other formulas that I've tried, and it's getting overwhelming for me. Sorry, I didn't think I'd be, like, going on that full rant, but, like, hopefully you guys understand, like, where I'm coming from with that. But anyway, so the Kulfi Mendy Moment blush, I have the shade Sandalwood Swirls. What a gorgeous, it's almost like a burnt mauve. Beautiful, beautiful shade, and I'm wearing it today. I just find that these have a really pleasant, easy to work with formula. They feel more like thick and balmy when they come out. Like, you can see it, like, comes out almost like a gloss, but it doesn't feel that way on the skin. It's definitely, the feeling is much more neutral than like a balmy cheek product. And they set down quite a bit as well and, like, kind of sheer out really prettily. I was expecting, like, a ton of pigment with these, but it's definitely more in the medium pigment range. I just wanted to give a quick, like, first impression on this because I'm just really enjoying it. And lastly, I meant to mention this brush when I was talking about the Lorac Pro Noir palette. This BK 208 brush for liner is the best liner brush that I've ever used. It is so, it's detailed, but it makes the liner go on really easily. It's that perfect, like, balance between getting the liner on, because I find if it's too precise when I'm doing liner, it makes it more difficult for me. So it's the perfect balance of being a very tiny angled brush that gets the liner on but still allows you to be really precise. It's super soft and flexible as well, so it doesn't feel irritating on my eyes, which a lot of brushes in the past, like liner brushes, have just kind of like felt like they were pulling my eyes. So again, just another brush that I've been using a lot, especially with the Lorac palette. I think it's definitely worth the investment. And that, I think, is everything. So thank you guys so much for being here. Again, I will leave everything I talked about today down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next one.